about ready to begin. Oh my gosh. Good evening. We have a, is that too loud? Don't want to yell. We have a fairly long agenda this evening. As is our custom, I'd like to have anybody honor a veteran, or if they are a veteran, to lead us in the pledge. Do we have a veteran that would like to lead the pledge? Do we have somebody who wants to honor a pledge, honor a veteran?
I would honor Wayne Dillman. Wayne's funeral was today. He, great gentleman, served in the Korean War. A lot of history with Morgan County, and he loved Morgan County in the state. So.
Yes, the calling was this afternoon. Thank you, Kenny. It's an honorable thing to do. After following the pledge that Kenny will lead in honor of Mr. Dillman, our prayer will be given by Mayor Costin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come here this evening to gather openly and freely. There have been a lot of men and women that have given their lives for us to have this opportunity. We don't take it lightly, and we thank you for this. Lord, as we discuss the business of the county tonight, we pray that you keep us all with open minds and look what's the better for the future of our county. We've got a lot of growth that's going to happen over the next few years. We need guidance. We need clear minds to compromise and to lead us in the direction that you would want us to go. Again, we thank you for all the blessings you bestowed upon our county, our state, our country. We pray that you be with us this evening and take us safely home. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Mayor. We have a fairly long agenda, but in length, and some of it's probably going to be the first of its kind for Morgan County, in that the presentation you're going to hear and see and witness. But we're going to move through it as expeditiously as possible. I think that's a Garrison Keeler word. I'm not sure. We'll give it a shot. And so we'll begin with the new business, which is, as you can see, it says BOT presentation. I'm going to let the gentleman tell us what a BOT is, but I will just say that it's been brought about. We've been meeting for several months, I think since March, to deal with our pants are getting old and holy, and I don't mean holy in the sense of religious. And we need to find a way to deal with it. We've outgrown it. So I'll let you take it away, sir.
Thank you very much. My name is Cam Starnes. I'm with the Taft Law Firm. Great to be with you this evening. Thanks for having me here. At the behest of Josh and Don and some others, considering that there are some items on the agenda this evening related to build, operate, transfer, we thought it would be good to give some context to what that is and what that means. And so I'm glad to run through just some general overview for you this evening. I'll move through this fairly quickly. If at any point any of you have any questions, feel free to stop me and we can discuss any of those points. Thank you. So we've said build, operate, transfer, BOT. What is that? Just to contextualize what that is, it is a project delivery method or a way in Indiana that a public entity such as a county or a municipality can deliver a public project of any type. There are several others that you may be familiar with, such as design, bid, build, or construction manager as constructor, or design build. So build, operate, transfer is one of those ways that, again, a public entity can go about delivering a project to improve its public facilities for its community. When embarking on delivery of any public project, there's certainly a number of considerations that come up in that process, including what the cost is going to be. That's It's always the one at the top of the list, of course. But also things like risk allocation and timing, flexibility, control of the project, quality of the project, and various financing mechanisms. And so where those two things meet is what leads to discussions like we're having this evening, the considerations and the various delivery methods at the disposal of any public entity. In describing what build, operate, transfer is, and it's important to point out that it's housed in the Public-Private Partnership Statute, Indiana Code 523. So it really is there's a privatization aspect of it, but I think sometimes the best way to describe what it is to do so in relief or in comparison to something else. Design, bid, build is sort of the technical term for the most common way the projects are delivered that you're probably familiar with. You hire an architect or a designer after identifying the need for a project. You work through the design process, then you put that design out to bid. You get feedback in the form of pricing. You're bound by state law to take the lowest competent qualified bidder, and then you're off under contract. The government entity, the county in this case, is holding that contract with the prime contractor. It's holding the contracts with the subcontractors, and that's how the project gets built. There's some kind of financing in partnership with that, unless it is a pay-as-you-go project and there's cash to pay for it. But that's how that type of transaction is structured. Importantly, not only are the procurement pieces of that dictated by statute, it's got to be through a public bid, and the responses and what you're able to accept are also dictated by statute. Also, keep in mind that the risk in that regard, when you are, as the public entity, holding all of those contracts, the risk of any change orders or cost overruns or incompatibility between design, materials availability, labor availability, timing, is really entirely on the public entity as the one holding those contracts. So I say that again to highlight the difference between design, bid, build, and build, operate, transfer as a privatized method for delivering a public project, where you have some additional flexibility, and it's procured really in the first place as a qualifications-based procurement. You're able to put a lot of things under one umbrella that you procure: design, construction, other types of unique services that may be needed to effectuate the project. All can be retained or selected as a team. Price is not really the primary consideration. It's qualifications, it's experience, it's fit related to the project. So that's materially different already than design, bid, build. Also keep in mind that you are centralizing really the contracting mechanism in an operator or developer. And essentially what you're contracting for is the development and delivery of a completed project. There are other, there are financing mechanisms that can be used in conjunction with that, but really the main contracting structure is that one build, operate, transfer agreement with a private operator or developer. That party then holds the downstream contracts with the general contractor, which then holds contracts with the subcontractor, et cetera. Structurally, you can see that does some different things for your risk kind of allocation. The risk in this sense of change orders, cost overruns, materials availability is effectively shifted then to that operator or developer level. So again, I say that just to highlight how this is different than ways that you might have previously delivered projects. So in terms of the process, and we sort of find ourselves in this process this evening with a couple of things on your agenda. So just to contextualize where those items on your agenda are coming from, in embarking on a build, operate, transfer project, initially, of course, you'd identify a need. Here, I understand there are a series of needs, or this project really has a number of different facets, and consult with your advisors, which you've done. I know Jason Semler from Baker Tilly is here as a financial advisor. I've been retained for the purpose of advising as to the legal aspects of the delivery under build, operate, transfer. So that's happening, and then consider those delivery factors, financing, risk, timing, flexibility, and it's my understanding that has been part of the discussion internally that the commissioners and staff have had for some time now leading up to this range of projects. Then there is a procurement process, which is prescribed by statute in that public-private partnership statute. It's an RFQ or RFPQ. Again, it's qualifications-based, but it does have to be publicly let, that portion of it, and evaluated. The statute contemplates that a review committee is formed. There's reference in the statute to a committee. It's not really well defined, but it's my understanding there's been a committee assembled here to evaluate the qualifications and sort of steer that process. And that committee evaluates responses received pursuant to that RFPQ and makes a recommendation then to the board, which in this case this evening is the commission, the Board of Commissioners. So we are at that point. This is also a little different in terms of sequence than what you may be used to in a design bid build context. This is often procured, the operator is often selected prior to design. And that design process is done in conjunction with a construction partner so that there's a lot better sort of crosstalk relative to cost and availability so that you're not faced with the point of putting a design out to bid that is not feasible or comes back to be far more expensive than anticipated, et cetera. So that team, I think, has been identified through some responses to the RFPQ that was already published. And now what you have on your agenda this evening is two things. One is a public hearing on the selection recommended by the committee, which is required by statute. And two is a vote to adopt a resolution to then select formally an operator to then carry out the project. So that's sort of the mechanics of the procurement and selection process, and that's what has hit your agenda this evening. So just to contextualize that, been working with Josh and others just to make sure that the statute is followed, and so that's what it has generated for you to consider this evening. The public hearing has been noticed. After you all have that public hearing and noticed in the paper so that there's, the public has been notified of the public hearing on the agenda. And then the resolution is considered and adopted, selecting an operator that typically initiates what's known as a scoping period where there's, the team starts working on the project and there's a lot of permutations as to how that goes, whether it initiates with a planning phase or a design phase or both, or there's already work to be addressed on the construction side, et cetera, and that will then also be wrapped up in a series of contractual documents. So you can anticipate that there will be a BOT agreement. There will likely be some financing documentation. I know Jason and Baker Tilly are working on evaluating the best path forward for the county as to how to finance this series of projects. And so we'll work together to make those things meet up from a contracting standpoint and a timing standpoint. We'll work then toward, typically this process allows for a guaranteed maximum price by the general contractor that's then passed through to the operator that will rest in the BOT agreement between the county and the selected operator, and then work through the timing and the various needs of the delivery of the project and the facets of the project. After construction is completed on any improvements that are built, there's generally a warranty period and an operations period that will all be negotiated as part of the BOT agreement. And then following completion and the satisfaction of all of those contingencies, so to speak, the completed improvements are then conveyed to the county following the completion of the operations period. So let's see. I think we can move through some of this because I think like I said, the financing has some flexibility. I know that's in process. So what's before you this evening is really just the public hearing and the selection of the operator. Just wanted to give you a sense of where it's headed in a contractual sense. Let's see. Any questions?
I have none.
You did say that you're gonna keep us out of legal trouble?
That's
That's what you're here for?
That's
Good.
what
I'm
I'm
gonna go on
here for.
record, you've never met me, but this is a public meeting, so duly noted. Good luck.
Indeed, that is why I'm here, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
For the public hearing yet, we don't know what kind of trouble you get into there.
Great.
No, Mr. Starnes, I really appreciate your explanation. It's a whole new ballgame that we're playing as far as method.
Sure.
And I think it's a lot, it's a lot more productive. And I really appreciate how you've explained it and what we're doing and the direction that we can be going.
Good. Yeah, glad to talk through that. Again, I think the context is important. There are some material differences to ways you may have delivered other projects in the past that are good to keep in mind. I think it's a method that's growing in popularity for several reasons, and I think you'll see how those come to fruition as you move through the process here. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Well, I think this part of the process is to have a public hearing, but to do that, we need to close the commissioner meeting and then open up a public hearing. So I think we need a motion to close the commissioner meeting and,
Don?
oh, sorry. You're going to start this, you want to go, I didn't know what order we were going to do that. Eric, you're going to go ahead and give us the dope before we have the public, that comes afterwards, correct? New to me too. Eric? Greg's going to give us the results of,
Yep.
we know how we got there, but now we're going to see what we got when we got there. Thank you,
Yep,
Greg.
good evening. My name is Greg Martz. I'm with GM Development, and with me tonight is Kevin McGovern from Meyer Najum and Eric Ratz from DLZ. We've got a brief presentation. I would estimate probably 7-8 minutes tonight. As Cam was explaining that process, that's exactly what we've been going through with the county here for several months. We responded to the public request for proposals that Cam was discussing back in April. And so we've been working all the way through the summer on that scoping period that Cam was describing. The title of the RFP was essentially to look at the county's assets and help put together budgets and recommendations and so forth. And so what we are doing tonight is making some of those recommendations. You'll see that what we found is that parking and security rose to the top as things that have, from our understanding now, have been discussed for probably over a decade. And so we're here to present some of those solutions and even some options still. And so what we're hoping to get out of this presentation is that we'll provide you with enough information so hopefully the commissioners can pick between the couple options remaining. And then if you're able to do that tonight, then we would take the option that you approve, and we will then make a similar presentation to the county council in November. So I'll stop talking there, and I'll let Eric discuss some of our findings that we've found for the last several months.
Yeah, appreciate that.
All right. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, commissioners, for us being able to present here tonight. I think that if we can just step back a little bit, this all really started last year when we were doing the feasibility study on just all of the overall buildings with this building, the courthouse, and also where the probation department is. And as you entered into the BOT agreement, one of the things that just coming to the top, since we've been meeting in May, I believe this is at least our 8th meeting in talking about this, and We went through several different things of what is the most important thing here in Morgan County to do. And what's really, as Greg mentioned, was security of this building and also addressing some parking needs with the overall site here. So I've got just a few images here. And Keith, if you would like to have later, I can email you some images if you would like to have that for. Okay. So one of the things we did here is at this building, we've identified what the existing properties that the county does own. So if we were looking out here is Main Street. We own obviously all of this county block or all this city block except for the Flowers by Dewey. Also to the west of Mulberry Street, from Jackson to Columbus, we own, as well as to the south, there's two smaller parcels that are there that the county also owns. So the first and foremost thing looked at is, and as Greg mentioned, we have two options. We have option 1 and an option 2, and both on option 1s, there are some alternatives even with those. So in looking at this, the primary driver for building aspect was to do a security entrance to the overall building. And we have a floor plan here in a minute to discuss those. But working with David Rogers, who was responsible for courthouse security and obviously security for this building as well, is to address the security aspects for visitors coming in and out of this building. The other things that we've started looking at was looking at additional parking. And we have two options here, very different. One is to take the property that is to the west of Mulberry Street, and option one is to build a parking garage. And we've got somewhere 250 to 300 car parking garage that on county-owned property. The other thing is that in looking at this option was, since 1996, when this building was constructed, people driving up and down Main Street, Old State Road 37, where's the front door to the building? It's something that's always been a point of emphasis that was lacking. The great things that the city is doing in the downtown area, one of the things that we looked at and worked on very hard is how can we better connect this building to the downtown square area. We're literally just a block away from Washington Street and Main Street. So what we've tried to look at is that in this area to try to create a plaza area that would connect this intersection with the stoplight and try to bring some type of an interaction back to this building. Something that we feel is very important with that. So then what we would do is that the remaining parking that's in this area, we would maintain that as parking at this point. And option 1A is to look at something a little bit different. Parking garage remains the same. The security aspects changes, it remains the same, but the northeast quadrant of the city block, it does change. We started to create this as more of a complete quarter block that would be a courthouse, or to be a annex plaza that would really connect to the courthouse a block away. Something that can really be a focal point that can work with the city as they're doing their work, the county's doing their work, and giving this building the prominence that it needs or should have as a county government facility connecting back. Obviously, this would require the acquisition of one property. Option 2 is the things on the east side of Mulberry Street are identical, but what's different in lieu of building the 250 to 300 car parking garage is that we would build a 100 car surface parking lot. Up to 100 car surface parking lot. Again, this is complete property that is owned by the county, and we would be developing the parking as many spaces as we can on that site. One of the other things that I do need to mention here is that with a lot of parking here, with the county government, the administrative annex being here, one of the things is potentially looking at Mulberry Street, keeping it as a street, but looking at it as more of a pedestrian street with maybe some decorative bollards on the north and south end that could be opened in case of certain situations. But with the amount of flow of people walking back and forth, safety aspects and things is closing this street off for daily access, but keeping it open in the future for obviously all the utilities and things that go with that. So Site Plan 2 just develops the northern part of the northeast quadrant, where option 2A, would take, again, the parking lot, not the parking garage, but the parking lot on the west side of Mulberry, and then it would develop this entire quarter block here for a public space with that. So that is really the site plans. From a building perspective, got a rotate plan. North is now to the left. So if this is the building we're in. We're sitting about right here in the Lucille Sadler room. What we're looking at is a separate entrance and exit in and out of the facility, such that you can get a true security checkpoint. People would come in, they'd go through a security check. There'd be a security office in this location, a lobby space, visual display, history type of items for the county, then looking at 2 restrooms, men's and women's, looking at an elevator, janitor's closet, and then another stair that's in the west corner of the overall building. Then on the second level, it would be very similar with the stairs, the elevator, the janitors, and the toilet rooms with the corridor space, and then the security vestibule lobby area that would be more of a 2-story space to give it a little bit more of a prominence as you're coming into the administrative annex. What we're looking at here is about 6,100 square foot addition that would really significantly improve the security aspects to this building. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kevin, and he can talk to you about some budgets.
Yeah, it is. Thank you, Eric. Again, my name's Kevin McGovern with Meyer Native Construction. I'll be our firm's in charge of doing the construction underneath GM Development. And as Eric points out here, we'll be going over 2 options. Option number 1 is with the 300-car parking garage, okay? So with this option, the security vestibule that he pointed out with the 2-story building, we're targeting a budget of $4,542,000. The 300-car parking garage is roughly $25,000 per space. That equates to about $7.5 million. And then with all the plaza, utilities, grading, demolition work, with the site work package, that would be approximately $1.4 million. And then I know on the fairgrounds, that's carrying as an allowance right now. That scope of work, we're carrying about $1.1 million. So the total ask price is $14,561,188 for option number 1. And again, the main difference between option 1 and 2 is the parking element. On option number 2, security vestibule, again, that number stays the same at $4.542. The 100 parking space surface, keyword surface parking lot, we're targeting about $1.6 million. The plaza, utilities, and grading demolition work would be about $1.4. And then on the fairgrounds, that allowance stays the same at about $1.1. So that ask price for approval total is $8,670,038 on budget. Okay, again, these are budgets. These are not a GMP yet. And that's basically option 1 and 2. Greg, anything else we'd like to talk about here?
So I think just in conclusion, we're here to answer any questions on that presentation. What we're hoping is to supply you with enough information so that you'll be able to vote tonight on which option you'd like for us to take to council. And once you, if you are able to make that vote, then the next step would be we would work with Cam, with Jim, your attorneys, and also with Jason and Dan on the financing pieces of it, and work through all of those so that the entire team is ready to present to council. So again, we're here to answer any questions that you have, and after tonight, we'll go the next steps right away.
Gentlemen, we'll open up questions or thoughts.
Well, I'd like to make a public statement, because I know anyone that goes back and reviews this on YouTube at a later time or reads Keith's well-written article that will appear in the Reporter in a day or two, they'll be asking, what are we doing and why are we doing it? So simply put, first and foremost, we've had requests for security in this building for years, and Keith pinned it nicely, but it's lacking. Another thing that we're starting to discover, and it occurs more and more often, is that our facilities don't allow for proper functionality, and that has to be addressed. And a hot topic that always seems to come up with any type of development, especially in the confined spaces of downtown or any downtown, is parking. So those are the key aspects driving some of this. We've had multiple, so that the public knows this isn't the first time this has been presented to the commissioners. Some of the concepts are, some of the dollar figures are not memorized. It's a work in progress. We're trying to be good stewards of the tax dollars, but part of that is investing in yourselves. And just off the top of your head, ballpark figure, if you take out the goofiness that happened to construction prices in the last 12 months, what's a typical norm increase year over year? 3%. So why, normal, right? And so if you look at 3%, why that doesn't sound a lot if that was what you were getting charged on your loan. When you're looking at projects anywhere from the range of 8.6 to 14.5, 3% adds up very, very quickly. So to be good stewards and being elected to be in charge of the tax dollar, we have to look at these type of projects. And I have found over the years, the longer we wait, the less the employees can do their jobs and the more costly. And to be honest with you, with limited resources and the lack of economic development that has occurred in this area, the lack of taxing funds we have. So some of these projects actually run away from us and become cost prohibitive where we can't do them. So if we're going to have the proper growth that this area needs, these are the type of projects that we have to study and have to start moving forward on. I know a lot of people will probably, I'm just going to hit the huge difference between option 2 and option 1 is that parking garage. And the only thing I will tell the constituents is pay now or pay later, because it's going to happen. We're going to need the parking spots. So do you build it now, or, because at one time the slot or space was 10 or 12,000. I can remember when they were building that down in Bloomington, and everyone in Bloomington was throwing a fit. And now I don't even want you to repeat the figure that I thought I heard you say per spot. So, because it just sounds crazy to put that much into it. I will tell the people that it would probably, when you're looking at that, if we were to expand without the parking garage, I don't know if you can go back to site plan 1. I don't know how reluctant all the houses on the back side of that grade-in area would be to give up their home for a parking lot if we wanted to expand and buy those homes if we wanted to expand. So there's a cost to that, buying those homes. And there's a lot of things that go on with that. So it's not going to be inexpensive no matter what we do to get parking spots. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Hale.
I would just back Brian up on that. I mean, we go ahead and do the expansion. I mean, parking is going to be a tremendous problem for the downtown area. And you've got 7 homes to go out if you go ahead and go west of where the existing property is now that we own across Marlboro Street. I doubt if them people would like that. I don't have a problem going vertical. I know the price tag's very high, but I don't have a problem doing that. But I just, this time I'm probably not ready for that at this point. But I think we ought to, but I don't know if I can go there right now tonight.
Well, for a point of clarification, because you alluded to taking a presentation, basically a formal recommendation to the council, it's their funding problem. I mean, can we sit there and say we definitely want option 2 to proceed, but if there's any way they can come up with option 1,
Say that again, Brian, you're saying go with site plan 1 with option 2.
yeah, I mean, I definitely want option 2 to proceed from this point forward, but if the council would entertain the thought of coming up with the additional resources and just tackling the 500-pound gorilla in the room, if they could see fit. If not, I don't want us to sit there and say option 1 or nothing, and then they say nothing, because we have to get this ball rolling.
I would support that.
And I could see several people being, until you come to find a parking spot, especially to pay your property taxes or, and the projected growth that we're supposed to get. I mean, for the first time since I've been on the county council of 23 years, we've got 300, 400 homes being built in Martinsville. We got 2 places going up in Monrovia. We got more homes being built in Mooresville. So we're finally starting, this county, the last of the donut counties to expand, is starting to see the building permits start to really take off. And if you got building permits, they'll want to come in to record their deeds. If they're going to record their deeds, they're probably not going to walk here. They'll need someplace to park.
Yeah, from our perspective, I actually think that's a great idea. We would definitely be willing if your thought is that when we present to the council that maybe we present option 2 as the commissioner's preference, but that essentially you're deferring the final decision to the council. I think we would be very comfortable with that, unless Cam tells us anything different. If that's the motion that you would like to make, we'd be very comfortable making this same presentation and allowing that same discussion to happen there.
Don, what do you think you'll get? I mean, because when you get outside of, I'm District 1, so you're sitting in my backyard. When you start getting into the outlining communities that don't have to visit here on a daily basis, they probably will not see the dire need of parking.
I think District 1, and I don't mean this disparagingly, District 1 probably stays in District 1, sort of like, what happens in District 1 stays there, and what happens here stays here. I don't think there'd be, as a District 1 person, I think one of the things that I believe and live, and I have to say this for the mayor's benefit as well, is that the courthouse in downtown Martinsville is as much of Morgan County as District 1. I mean, that's where it happens. People think of the downtown as part of them, and this is, I'm very much in favor of District or Site Plan 1 with the parking garage, because I think it affects downtown as well. And there are all kinds of opportunities for growth there as well. But the other side of that is, if given the choice of 1 or 2, and I think that's a council decision, is, let's use your head, now's the best time to do it. And if they would go with option 1, I'd certainly go with it. But I think they're probably, if they're cautious, right now it's almost penny wise and pound foolish if they go ahead and just do the parking lot. But sometimes you're just kicking the can down the street a little bit farther, because somebody's going to have to build that parking garage. And depends on how, I guess you'd say, how courageous they can be as far as, and prudent. This is the right thing to do at the right time. So I'd like to have both presentations available. My preference, of course, is the parking garage, but I think that if it looks like that,
If they don't find it palatable, I can understand that. It's just the economics. I just did a quick calculation, and each year that we don't do that, if we never need the parking, then so be it. But it's roughly a $225,000 per year decision not to do it,
right.
based upon a traditional 3% increase in construction inflation.
Exactly.
And
So
so
that-
I don't ever see us getting to the point where we may not need the parking today, the 300 spots, but we will eventually need that, so we will eventually build that. So
Yeah, it's going to come.
sooner
I
or
mean,
later, you're going to have to come up with the 7.5 plus.
I don't want to
the
have people
3%.
say they were right.
Right.
I like to say we're right now, but that's a decision that we can go with. Is a favorable for two, but we'll accept one. Is that kind of what you're looking at?
I mean, this is my first BOT, so you promised to keep me out of trouble, so earn your keep.
Nobody's going to keep you out of trouble, Brian.
Yeah, I was just thinking this might be helpful. Really, I'd like to decouple a couple of things. It looks like there's been a considerable amount of what I might call pre-scoping that's happened to generate these options before you. I would remind you that the public hearing and the resolution is really about the selection of this team in the first place. So it's kind of nice to have this information, but I don't want that to distract you from the first task, which is to consider the recommendation of the BOT committee to select this operator team to pursue this project. So that's really all the resolution speaks to.
Right.
I think what this operator candidate has asked is for the commission, the Board of Commissioners, to discuss and consider a potential recommendation to the county council itself as the fiscal body, which is important as you have aptly identified in terms of steering what kind of inputs are going into the financing considerations that will be presented to them, because the costs are obviously different, and so I think that enables you to engage on some details of the project that are a step beyond just selecting the operator.
So you need us to make a motion to accept this BOT committee.
So first, there will be a public hearing after this discussion, this sort of BOT presentation piece. We have a public hearing on the recommended selection of GM Development, Myron Agem, DLZ as an operator team. And then there's a resolution after that public hearing is closed for you to consider that would accept the recommendation of the committee, which I think has been presented to you in written form as a memorandum. So that's the first kind of order of business. This
So-
is a separate item, which is,
Okay.
is there something that you would like to pass on to the council as relative to feedback on the design?
So we've kind of been in the weeds before we need to get there, in a way. What we need to do is look at the pasture as it sells and say, these are the guys that have got the thing cooking as far as what we're going to need.
Yes.
And then exactly the fine tuning of that is an issue that we can come up with. That'll be after the resolution.
Yes, exactly.
Is that correct?
That is correct.
You good?
Or better. You can tell this isn't rehearsed.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You gotta start
I
somewhere.
gotta go with what he just told us.
You gotta start somewhere. So
Okay.
start with the selection of the operator, I think will be first, to the extent that there's some kind of consensus and you wanted to take even a consent vote or otherwise decide on a way to communicate that to the county council. I think that just helps steer the next steps in the process. But again, to decouple that from the selection, which is the primary order of business this evening, that is just selecting the operator on the recommendation of the committee. Is that
Well,
clarified?
as I see it now, we do not need a motion yet
Not yet.
until we have the presentation of the public hearing,
You
where
will,
we
yes.
do more of what we're doing already.
You'll open the
But we'll
public
let
hearing.
the audience,
Yeah.
let our participants in the public comment. Is
Yes.
that correct?
You'll open the public hearing. If there's any input, remonstrance, et cetera, from the public.
Okay.
You'll consider that, close the public hearing, then you'll consider the resolution on the
Thank you, sir.
selection. Thank
So
you.
basically, is there any more questions on this presentation, then we need to close and have a public hearing.
That's where I'm at. Are you going to make a motion to close?
Make a motion that we
Close
close
and
the
then open.
regular meeting in order to have a public hearing.
Second.
Close the public, or close the the commissioner meeting and open the public meeting, and all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So we will consider that the public hearing is now open, and that opens up what we've been doing and the discussion from the people in the floor. And Mr. Oaks is on his feet, and I don't think he's going the direction he's coming this direction. Mr. Oaks from Martinsville, sir.
Gary Oaks, and first of all, representing the city's excited to hear this, is supportive of this. We'll be happy to help with the permitting process, with the utility process, those connections. What I would ask, though, is that we not be on the sidelines of the planning process. The planning process is going to include much of what happens in the city here. A secondary comment would be, having been involved in the garage business for maybe 70 garages, this is an ideal spot. Can't but guess dimensions of 120 by 300, but that lays out to pretty close to a 300-car garage. And $20,000 range sounds about right for that as we go forward in that. What I was a little surprised to hear in the BOT process, you don't always have the team put together. And Meyer Nashim is a fine contractor. I think they'd do a fine job for you. And what I have seen in looking at what's happening in Carmel, Westfield, the rest of the northern development that's happened around Noblesville, if you watch their projects, virtually every one of them includes a parking garage, virtually, almost without exception. I found that really surprising. You know, I love building parking garages over the years, but I found it exciting that it's being almost exclusively included now. So I'd recommend you think about that.
Thank you, sir. Other comments, please? Well, I appreciate the Martinsville support and your experience working with, you see the value of what we're getting in the way of a team. And that's the most important part. It's open, it's a team that's working together, and it's going to be presenting a plan that I think is very desirable and needed. If there's no further comments from the public, I'll take a motion that we close the public and move to the resolution.
Move that we close the public meeting.
And open the commissioner meeting.
I was just ready to go home.
I guess we got to do that.
Yeah, and open
All right.
back to the commissioner. Pardon?
Meeting or hearing?
We'll close the hearing and,
Public hearing and open the commissioner meeting.
I'll second that.
all right, motion's been made to close the hearing and open the meeting. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Now we're back in the commissioner meeting, and next order of business is the resolution itself, which is to proceed with the team. I think that's correct. As they develop with the process. So let me get the resolution out in front of me so I make sure we're doing it the right way here. All right, gentlemen, you have the resolution number 2021, and we don't have a dash on it. Board of Commissioners of Morgan County awarding the build, operate, transfer, transaction, and taking certain other related items. And there's about 6 whereases, but I think they're pretty straightforward, that we develop a RPQ committee, proceeded through the process required by the BOT statutes. This is something rather new in Indiana, is it not? It's old, but we never used it before. Is that the way it works? Okay. And we have you have the resolution in front of you. It's been in our packet. Do you have any questions about it? Do Do we have a motion or on the adoption of the resolution?
I would make the motion that we adopt a resolution for the bond transaction awarded to GM Development Corporation, as well as Meyer Nigen, as well as Architectural Engineering, DLZ, for the project.
Do we have a second? I'll second.
I was gonna say, since legal counsel hasn't said that anything was wrong, I was gonna second that. I'm learning. But if you, I would be happy to second, or you can. You're the chair.
We'll co-second.
Yeah, there you go.
And since I'm the chair, I'll do that.
Now we just did something wrong, look.
Second, but we just had one.
Yeah.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And thank you, gentlemen. The motion passes 3-0. It's been a pleasure, and I appreciate your time and the effort, and look forward to continuing the work that we have ahead of us.
Council's gonna fund it or not anyway. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming down and presenting tonight.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Appreciate it.
And the quality we've been looking at all the time, it's so good. We'll let the gentleman kind of depart. You've been a long day.
I'm gonna take a short 2-minute recess.
2-minute break. Oh, I want to make a public announcement of thanking, I'm sure this chocolate in front of me that's being devoured is a compliment of a lady on the 4th row. Yeah, thank you. I got to eat it before Collier gets a hold of it and hides it. We'll take a short adjournment here until he returns. Everybody abandoned me after that one. Thank you, Lori. And thank you, Gary. He's busy. Thank you, Gary Oakes. Appreciate you. Tell you what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to get a coffee machine right here in front of us. Get used to it. You still go down to the Ace Hardware and get that, that stuff? But I haven't. Oh, no, we don't go there. Really? Yeah, I've heard also another thing for cramps in the hands and so forth is mustard. Yeah. So Okay, we're back. We're back. They're back. We are going to proceed with our agenda. You want to jump in? Yeah. 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 You're on vacation?
After this, I am.
You're getting time and a half right now?
No comment.
All right.
Took a year off.
I did, yeah, that's. So if we jump down a little bit to just two items, snow removal contract and speed limit ordinance.
It again.
The snow removal contract.
Got it. Got it.
So obviously with some changes over at the highway department, we are down some personnel and we are looking to get rid of some of these subdivisions to farm those out, to subcontract those out. So we are looking to advertise for snow removal, a bid from contractors in the local area to help us out by taking on some of these neighborhoods. There are 13 neighborhoods. I believe the packet is in your, Deb, I don't know if, did you get a packet for, okay. So the packet is in there. This is just for your review. I don't need a vote tonight for this.
Good.
But this is for your review. Jim is gonna review it as well. No major snafus right now, but this is the way we wanna go. Bid opening would be November 15th for them to start December 1st is what we're looking at. So.
Two things, whose liability if I subcontract and my driver knocks over all the mailboxes? Who pays for the mailboxes? Is that, because I didn't have time to read this today.
We are asking for liability of $1 million.
And then, is there a guarantee on it to where if I don't ever have to, can I, like, if I take that and I win that bid, but then I never have to drop a plow, do I still?
We did not put that catch in there. It's a per incident.
Okay.
There's not a monthly fee. But we did discuss that. It is possible. We can do that, obviously, with your comments and inputs. If you think that would attract more
I don't know,
contractors.
have you gotten any type of feel on people showing any interest?
We have. We've had some feelers out, and there is 2 or 3 I know that would
I mean,
be.
I know other communities have done this for years, and it only makes sense that,
Yep.
that we finally catch up on this aspect.
Unfortunately, like most aspects right now, workforce is going to be the issue. So.
I know this is going to give Dan heartburn, but one of the things that I read an old journal of 1880 that was down here in Jefferson Township, and one of the things that they did for those gentlemen back in those days, the commissioners did, was that they provided scrapers for the road, and they paid part of your property taxes through what you did for your road. And I know he's going to get nervous now, but it would be nice. Well, we can just tell them that this is a way you can earn your property taxes, but it was kind of a cool thing to have people
How'd they
take
hook
care
the
of their
plow
own.
up to the horse?
How what?
Them great big metal plows to the horse.
Hey, they were ingenious folks.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't need a lot of road plowing, they need a lot of road repairing.
But we can
That
read
was the
these and
difference.
you just want our opinion on going forward?
I'd love to see your input, and then as we talk about, give a thumbs up, we'll do the advertisement and put that out.
Well, I'll go ahead. I know you've got an opinion.
I'm thinking this is a good idea.
Well, I am
Myself,
too.
Grant, and Charlie are all available for comment.
I think the problem I've heard and complaints I've had the last time, let's go with, call it that, was that, my guys, here comes this big road plow down a sub, like out at Heartland Crossing or someplace like that. What are they gonna do?
Right.
And, we don't have anything that's hooked up to a pickup truck or a smaller item.
And that's also another issue with this, is the fact that we do have these big dump trucks with these, the salt with the plow
Right.
going in these neighborhoods.
How did you determine the 13 areas?
Going through the routes with the snowplow drivers. We talked about it, what their routes are, in all of our interviews, and identified certain areas.
Keep in-house.
All the major roads. I mean, they will still be fully engaged. However, with the number that we have dropped, we should definitely save in labor force, for sure.
So it's gonna be a wash on money,
It should be cheaper
pretty close.
and more efficient.
Well, I think it's a go for me, so I'll wait to see the final product.
We are looking to be flexible. with complaints that you'll field.
Evenly dispersed?
It is a work in progress with, like I said, the flux that we had out. So we're trying to space drivers out locally from where their residents are.
Well, we don't want anything done in District 1, okay?
To remove all the snow up in Don's district, I better get more asphalt.
That's a fair trade, sir.
No, I don't, I just think this would be more efficient.
I think so.
And I think, and not only more efficient, but I think it'd be better service to the taxpayers because they're not waiting for us to get the main
Yep.
arteries plowed where we can get into some of the neighborhoods and.
Well, and this will bring a safety factor as well, because these will be trucks, not dump trucks. These will be your Fords, these will be your, somebody who
Good
has
deal.
a.
I look forward, I didn't see this in my email till like 1:34. 1:34
That,
today.
I
did
pushed it
not.
out today so we could talk about it today, that's
Okay.
it.
And we'll take a look at it. Now, what do you got on the speed limit?
So the speed limit ordinance is, when we take in these roads from 69, we have been working with NDOT about, every county road has a speed limit. So this ordinance is to assign speed limits to some of these roads that we're taking in and to adjust some of those arteries that are close to, that may be affected with the new traffic patterns. So this is an amendment to the current county ordinance. And this, again, right now is for your review, to be voted on next week, our next commissioners meeting. The attorney has looked at it. He's made some cursory, my understanding is some cursory changes, but. Right, and we'll get that back. I did get another comment from NDOT today, because they've had this for about a week as well. So I will incorporate both of those comments into this. You'll have that draft at the beginning of next week, after I'm back from vacation, and then we'll vote on it the week after to adopt the new speed limit ordinance.
Sounds
So
good.
I need nothing else from you at this time.
Appreciate that. You're earning your keep. Thank you.
Trying to, sir. Grant, you got anything? I would say, do expect some complaints the first time we do this. Just be prepared, but we'll manage, we'll be flexible.
You think?
A little bit, sir, a little bit. However, we'll manage, we'll be flexible, and in the long run, this will prove definitely the way to go.
We are about to get our website up and running. Is there any way through the highway department that we can have a sublink to educate our citizens on what it takes to reduce the speed limit on a county road and putting in a stop sign? Because that would eliminate a lot of phone calls, because people think that I can just go up and put one up, or that I can just lower the speed limit.
We have had several discussions about putting a complaint system with our workflow, the Ziptility, directly on our website. That is a step that we are taking in the next couple of weeks. We should have it up and running, my guess is by Thanksgiving.
But just links to educate them. I mean,
Well-
they're probably not going to do that. They're probably going to go straight to the complaint to
Sure,
ask for the
absolutely.
stop sign, but.
But yes, we can absolutely add the links for that. Yes, sir. We can do that.
Any other comments?
That's all I
Tony,
had, gentlemen.
Major, appreciate it.
Thank you very much, sir.
Appreciate you. All right, and we return, I'm sorry? Well, I don't think that we have it, when he brought, he's gonna bring it to us. That was for information. I don't know if we table, do you want a motion to table?
I think that it's probably discretionary, but it was on the agenda and we had a copy, I think you can.
I'll take a motion to table the contracts and the ordinance information. Thank you.
Thanks, Tommy. Kenny Hill makes a motion that we table the snow removal contract ordinance as well as the speed limit ordinance till next
Second.
meeting.
Motion's been made and seconded to the snow removal contract and the speed limit ordinance to table those items to our next meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Okay, let's go back up to the top. We have two rezone requests. They were sort of, I guess you'd say another slam dunk. They were unanimous on Graveyard Road and Corlett Ridge. If you have any questions, Laura is here to explain it, but it looks to me like it was pretty much, we don't need to spend a lot of time with it. Anybody have a question about it? I'll take a motion. For
Kenny
those,
Hill makes a motion that we approve the R1 zoning request for docket Z-21-09.
I'll second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Motion passes. I didn't hear you. Did?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Okay. That item next on the executive session, we're going to.
What are you gonna do there's two of them.
Oh, I thought I was doing both the rezones.
He just did 9.
I was gonna let Collier do
Oh, I'm
that.
sorry. I thought the motion was for both those. I apologize. Okay, you did the motion on the Graveyard Road, correct?
That one was, yes.
Okay. Do we have a motion on the Corlett Ridge, or Corlett?
I'll make the motion on Carlet Ridge, do the rezone request going from I to A1, docket number Z-21-10.
Second.
Motion been made and second on the rezone request for Corlett Road. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Okay, we're going to go over the executive session because it hasn't been received on their end yet. So we can either move to table it or just, Jim, what do you think we ought to do there? I'm sorry. From the executive session, we had some negotiation that needed to go and it hasn't happened yet. Oh, well, yeah, I think that's motion to table? Yeah. Okay. We'll take a motion to table the activity from the actions from that would come from the executive session.
So move to table the executive session.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to table the actions from the executive session until we receive further news. I will add that. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0.
Should we hear back on that in 2 weeks? Okay.
Sheriff, are you going to take David's place as far as the food?
What's new?
We'll take care of it. David's got a food arrangement agreement we've got to okay, so it's in our packet. How's the food out there?
Yeah, it's great, and I think you talked about it before, right? Last meeting, did they talk about the,
I don't recall it.
you don't remember?
No,
Okay.
we did not.
The new ball game for us. This is for the food and number of people and how much it costs, about anywhere from, it looks to me like it's around $2 a meal for every.
Yeah, and I think you just renegotiated this contract, so that's.
Well,
what I
you
think it's-
did because it should have been done back in August. I think the contract says August.
Yeah.
That's where it started, and we've been through August for a while, so,
Yeah, we haven't fed them since August. They're getting a little
okay.
weak.
So I assume that you've been charged the same thing that you did
Yes.
previously, but the thing that David gave us was, I think it said August, was that, I don't have it in front of me, I probably should.
Yeah, the one that Josh just gave me here is
August 1st of 2017.
effective August 1st, 2021 through July 31st, 2022.
Yep, so you're already in it,
Yep.
charging it, okay. And if it's decent food, go for it.
It is excellent food. Yeah, if y'all want to come down and try it.
I was surprised that where they were from. They were, that company's, what, someplace out of state. Specialize in,
Yeah, and they use all the local The
Okay.
ladies that were there prior to this contract taking place, prior to it going privatized, are
Yeah.
still there. So they're doing the same fantastic job they do before.
Good.
It's just at a
Okay.
cheaper amount for the county.
Well, we want to keep them fed out there. We have a motion to approve the operating agreement on the food services.
Brian Kyer makes a motion that we approve the operating service agreement.
Second.
It's been a motion made and seconded to approve the operating agreement on the food services. An amendment to that operating agreement to the food services. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0, and tell them I'm going to put a garden out there as soon as I can. And chickens.
Chickens in a
I
garden?
think you ought to have chickens out there so you get fresh eggs.
Oh, we got plenty of fresh eggs. I'm serious. Gus Mathis has a bunch of chickens that he brings eggs in all the time.
Oh, that's terrific.
Yeah.
Who
Oh,
does
yeah.
that?
Gus Mathis.
Dang.
Yeah, he's got a plethora of.
Well, you make a bunch of happy campers out there. Well,
makes my
you know,
wife very happy.
happier campers,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah, exactly.
Thank you, sir.
Do you want me to go ahead and do
Yes.
the grant application while I'm up here, y'all?
I would appreciate that.
All right. Well, what I bring for you tonight, Commissioners, is grant application approval form. And this has to do with our body-worn cameras. We've already got this budgeted in our budget, but we still are looking for money to be saved and are applying for grants as they come along, any ones that we see. And this is one that we're applying for an amount of $160,000, which would bring that down considerably in what we're looking at for our budgeted price. So we just want to have you know about this and have your signature on this to continue this grant application.
Sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, hopefully it will be. Hopefully it
Hope
will
you
be
get it.
accepted to save us quite a bit of funding on that.
Got to find it here. Hang on a second. Get me out of order, I'm in trouble. There we go. Thank you. I've got a place even to sign already.
Yeah.
All right, it's a grant application approval for
That's U.S. Department of
body-worn
Justice.
cameras and U.S. Department of Justice.
Yes, sir.
That's where you go for the grant, correct?
Yes, sir. That's what we're applying for that. Yes, sir.
We have a motion?
Brian Kyer makes a motion that we accept the grant application for the US DOG body-worn cameras.
Second.
Motion's been made and approved, seconded for the Department of Justice body-worn cameras grant application. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Better put that in the right envelope.
Thank you, gentlemen.
You know
Thanks,
me,
Rich.
don't you? Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Jim, we have, next item on the agenda is the illegal dumping ordinance. And I understand they've made some revisions in our original, this is amendment to Chapter 51 of our Code of Ordinances, and this includes several items. There's one item there I would like for you to kind of, I guess you say correct, but on number 2 on page 1, it says the sections of, the changes in section 5106 and 5107, 5199 concerning enforcement, abatement, and penalties are substantially rewritten. I think you either incorporate, there is no 5107. So, I mean, not in, yeah, I think you did away with it and put it in the other ones, okay? So with that correction, I think that's the only thing I could find that was substantially changed. If you can look at that, that'd be good. Okay. Anyway, you have had it in your packet. It's an ordinance amending the Chapter 51 of Morgan County Code of Ordinances concerning illegal dumping and waste. Do you have any questions, gentlemen? Do you have a motion?
Give me
Brian?
it. Go ahead, Brian.
Brian Kyer makes a motion that we adopt the ordinance amending Chapter 51 of the Morgan County Code of Ordinance concerning illegal dumping and waste.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded on the ordinance amending the Chapter 51 of the Morgan County Code of Ordinances concerning illegal dumping and waste, and all in favor say aye. Motion passes 3-0.
Real quick, as we're losing our audience, but the copy that I got only had the first 2 pages, and it was like whereas. I read it like 3 times, and I was going to get hold of Jim and go, whereas what? Now it makes a whole lot more sense when you get the rest of it. I'm impressed. You got the 5107. I didn't have any of it, and I thought, this makes no sense to me. All we keep doing is whereas.
Well, I spent half an hour sorting, trying to find 5107, never did show up, so.
Thank you.
All right. You wouldn't have ever found 5106.
No, I was like, what are we doing?
Okay, let's see where we are. We have, and Jim, I think you can help us out here, an emergency health order procedures. Is that correct? Something we had to do that the state was giving us some stuff on?
Senate Enrolled Act 5 is included in there just for your reference as well. It requires commissioners to establish a process for someone who's cited by a local health department to appeal that violation here first. So that's what this lays out. It's relatively straightforward as far as the process. They have to give notice. Let's see.
Okay,
I guess it's important to say not just anything, but only applies to an enforcement action 1618-114.8, which is local board of health response to a declared local public health emergency or a disaster declared by the governor. So kind of in the context of that conversation.
thank you, sir. Appreciate you catching it and being on top of it. Any questions, gentlemen? I'll entertain a motion.
Brian Collier makes a motion that we adopt ordinance to adopt procedures concerning emergency health order enforcement action appeals.
Okay, we have a second.
Second.
Motion's been made and second to approve an ordinance to adopting procedures concerning emergency health orders enforcement action appeals, which we needed to have. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Okay, hang on a second. Public nuisance. This is second reading for the public nuisance ordinance. I haven't received any feedback or anything from it from the first reading. You gentlemen have any questions about it? Laura, questions? Anything that's going to be kind of in your part of the world sometime too, so. Say what? That's what we're going to do.
I have a question. Does it surprise you that we get so many complaints that would fall under this ordinance that we can now address better, but yet there's no questions or input? I mean, I'm kind of surprised that somebody didn't ask us what we were doing or why we were doing it or I was just surprised because I know I got several calls in the first couple months about issues that this will address, and
I think they'd be here encouraging you to adopt this.
correct.
Yeah, I hadn't heard a thing from anybody. So I think when it starts becoming enforced, it's going to probably say, well, how come you're doing that? But that's when we might get a little flack, but gives us some teeth. And this will go, it's as soon as you put this on, I guess it'll be in all our ordinances, correct? Or do we have special ordinances for the planning and zoning?
It'll go into your codification with the other ordinances.
Do we need, are we going to send that to the folks? How long does it take them to get it on there? It's an annual process. You know, we probably, since it's annual, we don't wanna wait, and they say, well, we don't know that ordinance is there. We need to put this, we need to find a way to put the ordinances as soon as we get them done on the website, other than just the newspaper. I think we can do that with the webpage. Go ahead, Josh.
Well, I was gonna say, this'll need to be a public notice for this, and then Deb and I were talking the other day about putting a section under the commissioners for new ordinances.
Okay,
Prior to the codification.
great. All right, that'll take care of this. And that'll cover that territory. This is a second reading on this ordinance. I'll take a motion on ordinance to amend the chapter 94, Morgan County Code of Ordinances for properties located in our county
Brian
jurisdiction.
Kyer makes a motion that we adopt ordinance amending Chapter 94 of the Morgan County Code of Ordinances for properties located within the jurisdiction of Morgan County, Indiana.
Thank you, sir. We have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor of the motion? Any further comment? That motion say, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Thank you, and I really appreciate getting that new ordinance part of our webpage. I think that'd be great. Okay.
We will, we'll hear it.
We have a replacement on the Community Corrections Advisory Board. It's been suggested by Brian Foley, our Chief Probation Officer, Director, that Keith Lashbrook be put in the position of the Community Corrections Advisory Board member that is part of a private correctional facility, which his brother had, and I think Keith's working with it now. I think it's not actually in Morgan County, is it?
Gosport.
Gosport. So it's been a great program, and I'll entertain a motion on the suggestion of Brian Foley to appoint Keith Lashbrook.
Kenny Hill makes a motion that we appoint Keith Lashbrook from IDT for the Community Correction Advisory Board.
Do we have a second?
Brian Kyer seconds.
All in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Thank you. Motion passes 3-0. That IDT is the Indiana Dream Team for folks that have Keith, I suppose you knew that, what it was, but that's what Keith Lashbrook is, part of the Indiana Dream Team. Going to be on our Community Corrections Board. Me on the good program. Okay, guys, that takes us down to EMS MOU. He's been sitting back there patiently all evening. I'd like to congratulate Keenan Blair for his first day as director of our EMS. This is the start. He's been with us for, how long you been with us?
First came on board in 2018.
Glad to have you as a director, and the blessing for the county. And you've got a piece of good news here, so I'll let you share it.
So this does not affect the current MOU that we have with Ivy Tech. The current MOU that we have with Ivy Tech, what it consists of is they send their paramedic students to us for us to precept them. Every X amount of hours that our Warren County EMS employee preceptor precepts their student, they get in return free college credits to take whatever they would like. So in conversation with the head of paramedicine at Ivy Tech, Rodney Taylor, we were both having a conversation as to the shortage of paramedics and whatnot. He forwarded the opportunity to piggyback onto the current MOU, what that is going to look like. Everything that we currently have it will remain in place, unchanged. What will happen now for every 1,000 hours that Morgan County as a whole precepts a student, they will award us in return one free spot for an EMT to go to paramedic school. So we're trying to fix the shortage at our microscopic level by promoting from within and get these guys up and running. So we will literally have no money in this. The only thing that we will have into it, obviously, is the 1,000 contact hours. But even then, say that the student were to fail, the preceptor's time does not go unwasted. They still get the college credits to use for whatever they choose. So my opinion, it's a no-brainer, especially with the national shortage out there, so.
How did this come about?
Many conversations. One of our EDOs is very well connected with Ivy Tech and a little bit of politicking.
Well, it's a great idea and a great way to keep encouraging these people that are interested in the service that you provide. And I really appreciate the cooperation, and the MOU makes a lot of sense to me. Do we have any questions from the board? Any comments or questions, I should say? Then I shall entertain a motion that we approve the EMS MOU with Ivy Tech Community College in Bloomington, a memorandum of understanding on the School of Health Science and Paramedic Science with.
Brian Kyer makes a motion that we accept the new EMS MOU as presented.
Second.
Motion and second to accept this memorandum of understanding with Ivy Tech from our county EMS. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Thank you, Keenan, and good luck with your new challenges.
I appreciate
Glad
that.
to have
I
you.
am honored and humbled by your decision. I don't take this lightly. At the forefront of every decision will be the county taxpayers, and the agency, our troops behind us. So I look forward to the inherent challenge that's already there. So I think transparency, working together as a whole, as one team with one common goal, will get us some good places.
We are delighted. I personally am delighted to see your presence and the things that you've started to accomplish already, and the tone of service that your organization and your department provide.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir. Have a good night, gentlemen.
Thanks, Keenan.
We have a resolution to dispose of surplus property that's been hanging around probably since about early spring. Not that particular property, but it is involving a piece of property that was part of our right-of-way that was requested from American Water to, they needed to utilize it. This is a resolution that allows that surplus property to be disposed of. So it's a little sliver of land, actually. It doesn't amount to much, but we need a resolution to dispose of it properly. Is that correct, Jim?
Yes.
You have any questions on that? All right, I'll entertain a motion on that resolution.
Kenny Ham makes a motion, we approve the resolution to dispose of surplus real estate.
I'll second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. And motion passes 3-0.
I'd just like to make, as much time as we spend on that, the value of that land has to be more than what's there.
Yeah, well, that took a while.
Proving once again, we get paid pennies on the dollar.
Doesn't move slow, but it moves correctly.
That's
I guess
right.
is the way we do it.
There you go.
All right, the next item on the agenda is something that, well, we can discuss it, but before we get too far along with it, it was kind of the right hand and the left hand didn't know what exactly was cooking, but it involves a broadband task force discussion, and I've talked with, well, actually, we've got a couple people that were working on it. Our RDC was working on it, and I'm gonna be meeting some more after a meeting with that we had down in Belterra. I went to one of the meetings, and I'm gonna meet with the guy from the state. So we're gonna simply put, that broadband task force discussion, you can table it. We don't need to have it quite yet because we don't know all the players and we don't know the direction we're gonna go yet till we get some more people involved. But that's kind of the story on the broadband. It's gonna be coming together. I wanted it on there so people could actually go out and check their broadband speed. And Keith, if you wanna put that on there, the broadband task forces, when they get generated, whenever it is, but we have one of the ways people can find out how good their broadband is going to Farm Bureau, and they have a thing there called Check Your Speed. And very simply, you just go to their website, put your name in, then they'll get kind of a map of the county on what broadband speed you're getting right now. So that's one of the things that the task force will be obtaining, is finding out where our broadband is, and it's growing all the time. But we're going to be expanding our broadband in the county because the state's throwing a bunch of money at it that we need to do. Schools needing it for their virtual education, so it's going to be a good program. But we're just got to get everybody on. Well, Chelsea is going to be working with RDC and getting stuff cooking on that. So. We don't need to any action on that, don't even need to table it. I just wanted to have a brief discussion about what we're doing and what's coming down the pike. As soon as we get the new webpage up, I think is there a section on that, Josh, where they have current things that people could, like, this is happening now stuff? Or do we just, is it just information that we keep changing?
Yeah, I mean, we could always find a place for it, but there's not a, what's happening section.
Yeah, it might be, that'd be my only criticism. I'd like to have people, when they hit it, say, what's happening now stuff. And, newsy things. We might want to look at that possibility. I'm not saying that's necessary, but anytime we can keep people informed and they don't go to it just when they're lost and don't know where to go, they know that this is what the county's getting into, besides your newspaper work that you do a good job with. So no action on the broadband task force needed. Don't even table it. I just wanted to have a brief discussion on why it was there. It was my decision to put it on there and talk about some things that are going to be moving that direction. We have not received anything. Tony says on the Hadley corner, this is in old business, is tabled. So we'll continue and wait on some deeds of dedication on the Hadley corner, which is up in the Mooresville area. Other business, conflict of interest. Brian has got an article that we need to put in I guess you'd say a document that we need. Commissioner Collier has a conflict of interest paper that needs to be in our minutes. It's very simple. Building, well, we just need any kind of conflict of interest so there's no questions come up. You want any further comments on that?
I have a LLC that has rentals, and I rent to a Sycamore Services that receives county funding. I've always done this at the county council level, and I just put one that was kind of open-ended, but I thought I better update it now that I'm in a new elected office.
It's appreciated. One of the things we always, people like to see transparency and who's getting what and why. And Sycamore Services provides a lot of good service for us. I don't know what we could do without them, a lot of that. We have some transfer letters coming up next and other business. You've got some items there on some funding that needs transferred. I got to get down to that stack. Okay, we've got transfer from the commissioners. I'm sorry, Board of Commissioners requested transfer, not from, but following transfers. Yes, sir? Oh, okay. I'm sorry, thank you, Dan. We need to accept that conflict of interest in a vote. So I'll move that we accept the conflict of interest statement from Commissioner Collier.
Second.
It's been motion made and seconded to accept the conflict of interest statement. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 2 with 1 abstention. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Didn't realize we had to be that official. Okay, well, I thank you, sir and ma'am. Okay, got some transfers that we are requesting some transfers of funds. One is for, well, we've got three of them, yeah. Three transfers from us to the council, or they'll have to approve it, correct?
We've actually got 2 transfer letters and 1 additional letter.
Okay, let me, transfer. Okay, got it. All right, let's take the 2 transfers to start with. One is for the remaining lease on the pool vehicles for 2021, and the request is being made to take funds from their juvenile detention account to pay for the remaining lease on the pool vehicles. Do we have any questions about that? We have a motion.
Kenny Hill makes a motion that we approve the transfer letter, or send the transfer letter on to the county council in the amount of $5,891.60 from juvenile detention into vehicle lease.
Okay, did you say 60 cents?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay, I thought you said 50, I'm sorry. Just being ear on that right side's not working as good as ought to. All right, I'll, second. Motion been made to transfer $5,891.60 from account 1,036,800.000.0068 from the juvenile detention to account, oh my gosh, I gotta read this, to account for the vehicle lease. I'm not gonna go through all those numbers.
I didn't.
Well, you usually do. All right, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All right, we got that transfer request passed. We have another transfer request. Commissioner transfer funds for Department of Parks and Recreation. It's $8,106 from the account of program supplies. And it says there's 3 places for operating, I'm sorry, I got this wrong. The funds are from $8,106 from account, which are program supplies, and it's got 3 sources, and it says it needs to change the amounts. What is that? I've got a note on there for that.
There'll be another one, yeah. We got, yes, yep.
So what, do we need the amount, do we have to put that whole amount on there?
Yep.
Send another transfer later?
Yep.
Got it. Okay, so we'll know we got one in the
Pipeline.
in the crib and 2 being fed here. Anybody want to make a motion till we make that transfer?
Kenny Hill makes a motion, we do the transfer letter, pass it on to the county council in the amount of $8,106 from program supplies into $327.20, supply operating, $6,572.60 into contractual services, and $1,206.20 into repair maintenance for the park service.
Break.
What?
Nothing. I'm just teasing you.
Oh, that's a tool cap.
Okay, tool count.
Yes.
All right, all in favor, we have a second on that motion.
Brian Kyer seconds.
Motion's been made and second to make transfers of $8,100, or $88,106 of program supplies to various places in the, specified in the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Thank you, Kim. Thank you. Now we have a additional appropriation of $70,000 to purchase property through the through the hazard mitigation grant. Kenny, you want to,
Yes, this is the latest grant that we did get awarded. It did get cut in about half of what we needed, what was submitted. So I am asking the county council not only for the match of about 35,000 match, but also enough to be able to at least do the closing cost and purchase. The average of the two appraisals come back about $40,000 higher than what the total grant award was. So that's why I'm trying to see if I can get any help from the county council to go ahead and finish that one only house out in this hazard mitigation grant.
okey-doke. Well, you do a great job of taking care of that side of our activities. I appreciate that. We have a motion on the appropriation of $70,000 from Riverboat to purchase property through hazard mitigation grant.
Brian Kyer makes a motion that we ask the council to bless us with $70,000 from Riverboat to purchase property through the hazard mitigation grant.
All second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0.
That'll work.
Okay. Now, we have a whole stack of tort claims. Do you want to just handle them as a bunch?
Yes. Brian Kyer makes a motion that we take our tort claims and turn them over to the appropriate insurance.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to pass off the tort claims to our insurance agent. All in favor, motion been made and seconded. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0.
I am thinking about taking some of my clients that don't pay me to small claims and along with them naming Ken Nunn. And they have nothing to do with that, but why not? Works for him.
Yeah, that makes you a fancy building down there. Don't run away. We've got some things to sign. Do we have anything for the good of the county? Thank you, Laura.
I'll be brief. I know it's been
That's
a
all
long
right.
evening, so. As many of you know, we've been working since February on updating the county's zoning and subdivision control ordinances. That's going to be a brand-new document called the Unified Development Ordinance. And we're at the point now where we're starting to take public input. So I have begun marketing our public comment for a workshop here in this room on October 26th. It's an open house format from 4:30 to 6:30. We'll have stations set up with display and a brief description of some of the changes so that the public can look at them and kind of vote with their colored dots on
What's the
what they
date on
like.
that?
October 26th. I'll
October-
give you the flyer.
October 26th.
Yes. So I just wanted to let you know, and please encourage the public to come and give us their feedback and help us move this process forward. I had a focus group today with builders, developers, and surveyors and engineers. And then we're also going to be meeting in a joint session with the Plan Commission to review this for all of you and get you up to speed on it as well. So
Okay, there's a meeting on the 8th.
that's the joint meeting with the Plan Commission.
What was the meeting you just said to the public, the 26th?
This is for a public workshop to take public input.
On the 26th of this month?
October 26th, yes.
What time?
4:30 to 6:30.
You gonna serve supper?
Cookies,
that's
you gotta have cookies or they won't come.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, yeah.
It is an open house format, so people can come and go as they
all
wish.
right. Thank
So
you.
that's what I had. It's good
Well-
for the county.
Glad you stuck around.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Did Kenny get
I
or
don't-
Keith get a copy? Okay.
Hey, Keith, you really need to, people need to know what this is. I mean, this is really important. And I mean, I've dabbled up here for a quarter of a century and didn't have a clue until I sat through as many of those. I was lost.
Brian, I've been zoning here for a quarter of a century, I know.
Yeah, but I mean, people need to know what we're looking at.
Thank you, and thank you all, and thanks for hanging in there, gentlemen and ladies, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Second to adjourn.
Neither one of us got it out.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Got it. Thanks for being here. We got a stack of papers to sign, gentlemen.